the beautiful opportunity in grassroots football is that when we have two teams playing, they play against each other and they play on the same pitch. They play in the same theatre and they're playing in the same competition, whether that be a league or a cup. And one of the great benefits of working with Eamon Scott, who is the founder of Striker Online, is he has over 40 years of telling stories about grassroots football. And if you've ever had a chat with him, you won't get away with a couple of stories before you leave, right? But he has the ability to build a story, and in every league, so in every league, on average, there's 10 to 12 teams, let's say, right? And each of those has its own community. And when you multiply the communities by 12, 13, they all follow that league for that season, and
Mm.
often teams will stay together. Obviously some get promoted and relegated, but a cohort will stay together through that football journey. And that by
Mm.
collaborating, by both teams, let's say, sharing the VO content if they have it, by both teams sharing the content, linking themselves together, what the sponsors get is they get the benefit of both sets of eyeballs. And that's the key thing that clubs and teams and affiliates need to learn from, that the more we collaborate, the better, the more everything will grow and the better it is for everybody involved.
Absolutely. And Alex, how would someone go about, for let's say you have a lot of volunteers in clubs, how can, when they're working with Striker, how can you help them with content so they know exactly what to post and when to post and how to post? Like, how can you help those clubs with that part section?
Well, yeah, we've just launched. We're in the process of launching, and we have, a number of affiliates already on board. So people will see us acting out. But we've launched what's called the Content Striker campaign, and what this means is that anybody out there who is producing content, and whether it be at a team level or a club level, and we want to create content strikers within teams, and this is important. So these individuals, it's a subscription service, you know, um, so there's a cost associated with it, but the reason there's a cost is because the value is significant, and
Mm.
because any sponsor will say that that's not a problem, And so we want to help these content strikers who operate in clubs and they also operate at team level to turn their content into cash. And how we do that is we simply bring them along a journey and make sure that the content that they're creating is done in a way that can attract sponsorship. Okay, that's the first thing. So we help them
Mm.
commercialize the content they're already creating. And we bring them on this journey. And very often we're also working with the affiliate as well. So we're kind of vibrating the whole market. But we bring that content striker, and then we also bring in other content strikers along, and we're guaranteeing them and their club and the affiliate the type of exposure and encouragement that they're looking for. So one of the things that a lot of content generators and clubs, and when I say content, they don't see themselves as content generators. They just see themselves as kind of
Mm.
immortalizing the football journey, recording
Mm.
it, putting out, providing content for the social media manager. That's generally how it works. It's very hard for the social media manager to be going around collecting content from all the teams. It doesn't really work like that. So what we want to do is train individuals within the teams management, or someone in the parents community, all these different people, to collect content. And that 90% of the content we're talking about is not game content. So there's so much other stuff that people aren't aware that they can do. And as well, the beautiful thing is that a lot of people don't collect certain content because they don't think anyone's got interested in it, right?
Mm.
But I can tell you that when you put it out on something like Striker Online and our partners, you widen that audience, and
Mm.
the thing that grassroots football is creating all the time are wonderful stories, but we don't realize the value of those stories. And those
Mm.
stories happen in clubs all the time. I mean, I'm talking about good stories. We're not here to talk about bad stuff. We're here to promote the game and develop the game and develop the good
Mm.
things and talk about the good stuff. So a lot of people don't see good stuff as gaining interest. They follow things about how many likes there are and how many, but actually, when you widen the audience and you start telling the stories and the amazing stories that exist out there. I mean, for example, there, some of the trips that happen, some of the recovery from injuries, some of the players within our clubs who are also champions in other areas. I mean, Irish dancers, boxers. You know what I mean? There's so much to talk about. There's even stories happening right now. There was a team in Wicklow that won four championships. They won a quadruple. I think it might have even been a quintuple or something like that. And there was a team now, a girls team, an under 16 girls team who started in 2017, and they just won this season. This cohort of 8 players at under 16 were able to stretch themselves across 3 age groups, under 16, 17, and 18 and 19, and they won out of 11 competitions that they signed up for by Bohemians FC Waterford. They won 10 of them. 10 of them this season. And that is an amazing story, you know what I mean? And so what we want to try, what we want to do is to gradually develop these content strikers and elevate the ability of teams, clubs, and affiliates to create content that resonates with the sponsors. And what resonates with sponsors is things that are guaranteed to be, to get out there for people to see, which we'll guarantee with Striker Online, and stuff that they know they can communicate, that they know they're on the journey. Do you know what I mean? So I describe it sometimes like this. Look, we're going to teach you how to row your boat, right? If your boat is a football journey, we're going to teach you how to row your boat in a way that you're moving forward, and we're going to, by doing it in the way that we're suggesting and helping you do with the subscription service, you're going to be able to put your sponsors front and center on that boat so that they feel happy season after season, giving you the money that helps you run your club, run your team, run your affiliate. That's what we want to do. And it's not a overnight solution. It is a slowly nurturing the grassroots community to be able to do this for themselves and to be able to communicate like that for themselves. That's
amazing. I can imagine that, and that just expanding Irish football. If we can do that with every club, and every club is expanding, Irish football just gets a lot bigger. One question I have for you is, in terms of sponsors, what are they looking for in a club before they decide to sponsor a club? So again, I was doing a bit of research on the clubs yesterday and seeing something really good by Finglas United, and I was having a small little chat with the guys there. But I noticed a lot of clubs that I was researching, like they might only have like 200 followers, and then you'll have another club that will have 1,900 followers. Like there seems to be a big gap in some of the clubs. So what would a sponsor be looking for in a club? And like, is it about like some followers? Is it about location? Yeah. Is it about what are they looking for?
Okay, so unfortunately, the kind of sponsorship activation market or industry just in grassroots football just does not exist. Okay, so we do have a sponsorship model, if you call it that, within grassroots football, but it hasn't changed for 40, 50 years. And, it's still based on, maybe somebody paying a bit of money to get the football gear. That's really all. You then get club level. You get club level, generally sponsorship comes in a team, club, and affiliate. Sometimes you get it at club level, where depending on the size of the club and the profile of the club, certain big business will just kind of make what I would term as almost donations rather than marketing investment. Okay, yeah. So the clubs are volunteer led, aren't commercially orientated, and in general now there are some that are, but it would be no more than 5% that are commercially orientated. So some clubs are just set up. It's very hard. It's basically impossible to set up a commercially orientated club in a volunteer setup. It's very difficult because it takes a skill set that just doesn't exist, or the people that are volunteers, they don't have the time and who have the skills in those areas. So what they're looking for is very often they're connected to the club, so it's not a proper commercial arrangement. There's a connection. They know that, that, and that's, oh well, and they feel an obligation, and they do it. So there's no actual proper commercial vehicle or marketing vehicle that the sponsor looks at as something that they can go back into their boardroom. Very often, nobody touches, the CEO's sponsorship for Drumcondra, let's say, because we know his son is on it or whatever. You know what I mean? So nobody says anything about that. But what sponsors want to be able to do, most of all, is provide real, tangible return on investment in terms of brand growth and sales to their board, to their business meetings. When somebody comes back in, now, that's what they want. They want to be able to show others that their money is actually delivering something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's what they want. So up to now, and let's be honest, up to now, like, you pay X, your brand goes on a jersey, the jersey comes out, a couple of once or twice a week max. It's not really seen by anyone. Some photographs happen. We can't really see the brand. There's no articles written. They do a couple of posts, maybe profile posts on the social media page, and that's it, because they're not set up to do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is, at Striker Online, is we want to make it almost a no-brainer, so that the club is working within a structure that works to provide, at the end of the season, or even on a quarterly basis, the data that goes back to that sponsor that says, this is what your sponsorship is doing for us. This is what it's doing. And this is the kicker, Mark. This is the kicker. That now, in the age of artificial intelligence, a company like Striker Online can do the work of 10, 15, 20 people, which means that by collaborating with teams, we can provide a level of value to our sponsors that would be inordinately expensive anywhere else. And so right now, it is extremely inexpensive for our clubs to produce user-generated content. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
It is now, at Striker Online, we're at a stage with almost 100,000 followers that and 40 years in grassroots football, we are able to significantly deliver high value content and a structure of, a kind of commercial structure, marketing structure, at a really low price, in the sense that it doesn't cost us it would cost 10, 15 people the stuff we can do now with artificial intelligence and technology that we're at. Okay, so those two things together. If you look at a business out there who wants to get in front of people on mobile, okay, they can start going themselves, but it's such a tight space now. So grassroots football gives them an in. It gives them the ability to get on a boat on any football journey, which is part of our staple online diet. Whether you like it or not, grassroots football, part of everyone's staple diet. We all consume it because it touches nearly every household in the land. Our own football, grassroots football, whether we like it or whether we want it or not, it will come up on your feed if your kid is playing football. It'll come up on your feed if you're playing football. And so we have a massive market, and that's where the opportunity exists. But when it actually helps in terms of the improvement in terms of standards, and it focuses the people involved in the content they're creating, because they're realizing that now all of a sudden, if they go and do a fundraiser, packing bags, right? They can now not only do the packing, but they can actually now talk about it and provide the exposure for the sponsor. So very often the sponsor might say, okay, I see you're doing that. We will double whatever you raise. So then it's a collaboration, you know, and I say, okay, well, you know, and the other sponsor, hey, will I join in with him? I'll help him double whatever you guys go off and raise. So now it becomes you know, 2 or 3 of the sponsors are getting together with the kids and saying, yeah, okay, let's do this together. Like, they're on the boat. They're on the boat and they feel part of it. And then when they go on their trip, right? When they go on their trip, the kids, this is the key thing. I get excited about this stuff, right? Because I just think it's such an incredible opportunity, right? But we need to teach our children, and they do this in the States all the time, right? We need to teach our children the value of local businesses and sponsors and what they can bring to our team. So what can happen is that they're going off on their trip, and so they call the trip maybe a sponsor's name of the trip, or they might design jerseys for the trip itself, so they keep the jersey themselves afterwards as a memory, you know, with their names, with their stuff, because they can do that. But what happens is that when they're on their trip, they create content and mention the sponsors. So now the sponsors who might be working in an extremely boring sector, like that, they can't do anything. They can't create any content. You know.
Yeah.
So now they have something that they have these group of kids playing in a competition or going to a match and saying, thanks, Acme Blinds or whatever. Thanks a million for helping us deliver this. We're here watching Man United, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, this person that, you know, is operating in a kind of like has something to put on their social media, sees it on grassroots social media, is now being called a grassroots superhero, feels good about it, but is getting the exposure they want at the same time. And by the way, this isn't expensive stuff. This isn't like advertising. This is marketing that comes at a cost, at a fraction of the cost that it would take you to get the same kind of exposure through Facebook ads or YouTube advertising, or any of the kind of stuff that companies have to do.
And you know, them photos of the trips, they're going on the wall for the next 10 years as well, in the clubhouse as well. So that's extra exposure. Anytime you're going on these trips, they're going to get a team photo. They're going to be up on the wall. You're not just getting sponsorship for the year. That's there for the next 10, 20 years.